not only so proud about what America is doing, even though it makes a lot of mistakes, but it's almost the last bastion of freedom. And my message is to every American I tell to, you are losing Europe. You will be the last man standing. Don't mess up yourself, but make sure that you invest in your European allies and in the correct European allies. No, I'm not talking about the French or the German or the Gordon Brown, the UK leaders, because they are dhimmis, they are giving up, they are appeasing, they are chamberlains, and at the end of the day you will have to do the job.
Well, you know, I appreciate what you're saying very much, and it's an interesting perspective, because we, of course, in America consider there's a great deal of media bias here also, and it's very hard to get an honest discussion of these issues here, and it's interesting to find that, well, it can always be worse.
It can. Talk to you, and you'll see it's worse.
Yes. But the question actually is this, that you're saying that we need to help our European allies, and I think that that's a very urgent thing that we need to do. But while you see the United States fighting against jihad terrorists in Iraq and Afghanistan, at the same time, when the President of the United States says that Islam is a religion of peace, when this has been echoed by both presidential candidates, when the Secretary of State has said the same thing, they have iftar dinners in the White House and so on, do you think that it's, I mean, I suppose the situation, in other words, seems very hopeless, that the United States is going to awaken to what's going on in Europe.
I hope so. This is why I am here, but I hope many more European politicians will come here, or other people, anti-Islamic groups or whatsoever, intellectuals like yourself, journalists. We should make the public aware that on the long term it's not in the interest of the United States themselves, it's not in the interest of the geopolitical stability and safeness if America would use Europe. It would indeed be the last man standing. And I also didn't understand the fact that the US President today at 9/12 said Islam is a religion of peace. This is a totally ununderstandable reflex of the political leader. I remember when in the streets of Amsterdam a few years ago, as you know, Mr. Theo van Gogh was slaughtered in the street, that one day later the Prime Minister of the Netherlands and even the Queen of the Netherlands went to visit the mosque and shook hands with moderate Muslims, as if we had any problems with moderate Muslims, instead of standing up and saying what needed to be said. So this is a ridiculous reflex, and but I think that also the American people in the long run will not only see that things will change and the Islamization will take part in the United States itself. I'm talking to people when I'm here this week, and I hear people saying that, did you hear that about the mosque being built there? Did you hear that about the halal food? I mean, there is also a growing awareness in the United States, and I think by the government, by the administration, there will be people needed at least who will also think about the political interest, that they will not let Europe be lost, and that they will stop advocating that, for instance, what the United States unfortunately is doing, that Turkey would become a member of the European Union. This would be the most terrible and worst idea when it comes to the Islamization of our continent. And I think that many Europeans and people like yourself from the United States should talk about it more to the public, to the leaders, and try to get the awareness and the sense of urgency. It's a matter of the sense of urgency a little bit higher.
Yes, well, it seems that in both cases, in America and in Europe, there is a gap, as you mentioned before, between the elites and the people who they are purporting to govern.
It is. The difference is, it's true that the numbers are different, not only demographically, but also when you look at the Netherlands. We have 16 million inhabitants. 1 million of them are Muslims. It's 1 out of 16. It's not to be compared with the United States. We get our immigration from totally different countries than you do. So the difference is there. But let me tell you that if Europe will be lost, if Israel will be lost, the United States will be the next target of Islam, and you have no allies anymore, and it will be very difficult. So it's far better to invest in some preventive methods today than when it's too late and your children and grandchildren are already almost wearing headscarves walking through the streets of Washington.
Can you confirm something I heard last year, that the Brussels City Council was already over 50% Muslim?
I don't know that. I'm not Belgian. I'm from the Netherlands. I don't know.
Yeah,
I
know you're not Belgian.
No, okay,
but I was wondering if you
but
had heard this because
no, I heard it's very
something.
high, Robert, but I don't exactly know if it's a majority already. That I don't know.
Because
but
if it is,
yeah.
or if it becomes such in other European cities, then obviously the process is much harder to reverse. It can be voted down.
Exactly. And listen, when I talk about the Netherlands, our two biggest cities, major cities, Amsterdam and Rotterdam. If you look at the people under the age of 18, the younger people, already today half of it is from non-Western origin, mostly Muslim. So this will be incredible. Imagine that New York or Denver or Washington, that half of the population under the age of 18 would be Muslim. This is the future of our society. They win in demographics. They already have almost a majority now when it comes to youngsters. And they are representing as well an enormous electoral force. Why are they pampered by, in my country, by the Social Democrats? They are pampered because they represent an enormous voting force. Not only because the leftist and the liberal invented the concept of the multicultural society and the cultural relativism in the 60s and the 70s, and they are not willing to admit that they make a mistake. Sometimes politicians are almost like humans, not willing to admit a mistake. But they have a big interest in it. There are those voters. We have had municipality elections in Rotterdam, where the former party of Mr. Fortuyn was very strong, where they lost the elections because of the Muslim vote.
No.
It's already happening
So
today.
there it is.
It is there.